Alright, so we got a Toyota Corolla S model with a nice little spoiler on it. And we're doing a tune-up to it. We're gonna put some of this seafoam high mileage gas treatment in it. These Toyota Corollas don't have, if I can get the cap off with one hand, they don't have a serviceable fuel filter. So this is the next best thing to a fuel filter. Specially formulated for gasoline cars, trucks over 75,000 miles. Works in fuel and oil systems, cleans and lubricates critical engine areas, cleans fuel injectors and carb jets, helps reduce engine wear, add to oil to clean harmful crankcase residues, quiet lifters, for use in all gasoline fuel blends, all types of conventional synthetic motor oil. So you can pour this either in the engine with the oil and let it clean the engine, or you can pour it in the gas tank. Normally what I do is pour a whole entire bottle, and I got a clean funnel with the filter screen mesh in it. And I like to pour one whole entire bottle on, nope. And this is why you do this with two hands. Hard to do it with one hand while you're holding a phone. Okay, so I like as I was saying, I like to pour one entire bottle in the gas tank. And then I'll take another bottle in the crankcase and the oil, and I'll take a third bottle to run through the booster hose. 3 bottles total, $10 a bottle, $30. And that's part of a tune-up service. So let's see if this thing is gonna stay. I guess it'll stay right there. Spilled a little bit of it in the name of trying to record a video for y'all. And so the next thing I'm gonna show you guys is the Serpentine belt. And y'all are gonna have to excuse me, but I was watching a movie under here while I was wrenching on my iPad. So we'll pause that. Okay, so we got the car jacked up. I guess I'll lay down and show it to you. Laying down. So there's our CarQuest oil filter that we've removed. The CarQuest oil filter part number was R85394. I don't use cheap CarQuest filters. I use Wicks only. Let me see if I can get a part number off of this Wicks here on camera. There you go. It's upside down, you're reading it, but it's 51394XP. Extended performance. The XP line is for synthetics. So there's your oil filter. That's some oil that spilled from the oil filter I just took off. We'll spray that off. And as you can see, we got a good oil drain. A good oil drain is you don't got a steady drip. You got a very slow drip. Normally, you go to these oil lube places and they rush your oil change. They wanna, get it in, get it out, get it in, get it out, right? Type of oil changes. And you'll have a steady stream or a steady drip, and they'll plug your oil drain back up, therefore leaving old oil still in there, plugging it up because it's supposed to be a 10-minute oil change, and then they top it off with the new oil, not having had a good drain to get everything of the old oil out. I say the minimum should be a 1 Mississippi count in between drips. So you would get a drip, right, from the oil, which this is way more than a 1 Mississippi count. There goes the drip. So then you count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. So we got about a 10 Mississippi count in between oil drips. That is a really good oil drain. Normally you don't even get a 1 Mississippi. You get a drip, 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 and it's still being plugged. Sometimes you're still getting a thin stream of oil, and they'll plug your oil back up. Yeah, I know, pretty shady, right? Anyways, like I said, they work on the principle of get it in, get it out. So if you're going to like Goofy Lube, Pecker Boys, all these Walmart in and out quick oil changes, that's what you can expect. Next, I'm gonna move on to the Serpentine belt. Wow, if you look at this, it is shredded. Like, it is missing the outer edge here that's supposed to run through this outer part of the pulley. So the belt should extend all the way out to here. You see that groove is completely gone. It's missing. This belt was already shredding apart, about to rip. And if you look closer, you see all the cracks in it. So what happens is these belts will bend over the pulley and they start to crack, and those cracks will eventually split and this belt will pop. And I mean, now you don't have a belt running any of your pulleys. You lose power steering, you lose your water pump, you lose your AC, you lose your alternator. So the engine will still rotate the crank pulley, but your steering will go stiff, your AC will blow hot, your water pump won't spin, so the engine temperature will go up, the alternator won't spin, so your battery will drain, running on just the battery. It's a bad scenario. You don't want this belt to pop. You'll be stuck on the side of the road, right? Not a good thing to happen. So as preventative maintenance, we recommend you change these belts every 30K is what the dealership says. I say don't let them go any more than 50K. So do like a full tune-up every 50,000 miles, meaning at 50, at 100, at 150, 200, and so on. You'll do your belts, you'll do your fluids, you'll do your filters. Well, that's a tune-up, right? Spark plugs, which I've already done. Your cabin air filter inside of the car, your engine air filter for the engine. Y'all get where I'm going with this. A PCV valve, right? Transmission fluid. Here's the transmission drain pan, and there's your transmission drain plug, and you unbolt all these bolts, and this drops down, and there's a gasket in between the pan and the transmission itself. You'll replace that gasket, and inside of here is a filter, and there's a magnet inside of the pan. You'll clean the magnet, clean the pan, replace the gasket, replace the filter, bolt it back up, tighten it in the right tightening sequence to the right amount of torque. You don't want to over tighten, you don't want to under tighten. You over tighten, you smush the gasket too much. You under tighten, you don't squeeze the gasket enough. Look up the torque sequence and the torque specs online if you're going to do that. Make sure you get a good clean surface when you do it. That's part of your 50,000 mile tune-up. Other than the 50,000 mile tune-ups, change the oil every 5,000 to 7,000 miles maximum, and you should be good to go. Anyways, everything else under here looks pretty good. I'm going to show you from up top. Now, she recently got a battery, and I'm going to give these guys a little bit of online attention because they deserve it. This place is called Batteries Inc. your automotive and industrial batteries specialist. That is their phone number if you're in the Orlando area. And they sell used reconditioned batteries for a very affordable price. These batteries go for like 40, 50 bucks. And they come with a warranty. So it's not like going to... sorry for yawning on y'all. It's not like going to the junkyard and getting a 90-day warranty. You actually get I believe it's a 1-year warranty on these. For 50 bucks, you can't go wrong. Most AutoZone or O'Reilly's or Advanced Auto Parts will want $120 for that battery and still only give you a year or 2 years warranty. So definitely, that's the way you want to go with the battery. We got her a battery. We put new spark plugs in the top of the engine. I put a new cabin air filter. I added the fuel, the seafoam fuel treatment additives. I cleaned out her air filter. She didn't replace it yet, but we're gonna replace it soon. I'm obviously changing the oil. We're gonna put the Wix oil filter with Castrol synthetic. Next, I gotta remove these lines out of the way, remove this motor mount out of the way, because that belt I was showing you from underneath, it's hard to even see it up top. I'm gonna do my best, but these AC lines and power steering lines and everything is in the way up here. But I'm gonna do my best to show you. So you see that is the tensioner. And that where I'm pointing my finger, that greasy looking bolt right there, that's the top bolt and that's the bottom bolt. And then that goes on the pulley down there. You can see it's kind of dark and it's real tight in here because, as you can see, the engine is really close. Let's see if I can get a good angle. The engine is really close to the frame of the car. There's very little room to even get a hand in here. You can't get a hand in there. It's too tight. Let's see if I can get my forehead light on and show y'all. There you go. You see how tight that is? Look how much room there is. You can barely get a hand in there. So to make life easier to be able to access the area, you take this motor mount out. It's a bolt there, a bolt there. It has another bolt in there, hiding in there. You have the bolt there also, right? So you take all those bolts out. Your power steering is going to be in the way, so you could either release it from here or unbolt it from the bottom and just kind of tuck it out of the way. Your AC line is going to be in the way, so you unbolt it from here and be gentle not to bend it too much. But that'll give you a little more access in here to get back in there to that tensioner that you're seeing there on that pulley. And that belt is all cracked up. So we're gonna need that. And then this would be your alternator, that would be your water pump, that would be your AC compressor, your crank pulley on the bottom, power steering pump. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I gotta start removing all that. Before I do, I'm gonna show you some part numbers on this thing. So your Wix, like I had showed you, was part number, your Wix XP full synthetic performance oil for extended performance. That's what the XP stands for. Wix makes the best filters. That part number for this 2007 Toyota Corolla S model is a 51394 XP. So that'll get thrown away. I'll keep this in the customer's glove box so they remember what to get. And if I tell them, oh, go buy some oil, oh, I left the cardboard to the oil filter in your glove box, so you make sure you get the right one, right? It's just something I like doing, just so they don't wonder what oil filter to get in the future. I could show you an ad here I have up on my wall about Wix and their XP filters. They got not just oil filters, fuel filters, air filters. Wix makes the best filters. I've proven it. I've taken the oil filters and cut them open and inspected them after they've gone way above and beyond what they should have been used up as far as mileage. and I've seen the way they hold up inside, and out of every filter I've checked, Wix filters always hold up the best. I did that because I wanted to know what was the best filter for my vehicle, and that's the conclusion I came to. K&N was a decent filter, Mobil 1 was a decent filter. I guess K&N I would say is second place, Mobil 1 is a third place filter, but Wix is definitely number one. Okay, so moving on from the filter conversation, this is your Serpentine belt, idler, and I guess it's like a tensioner and idler both in one. So here's your idler, right? This would be like the idler pulley, and this is the tensioner itself. And then this is the arm that attaches the idler to the tensioner, and it bolts up there and it bolts up here. And it has another pivot that it grabs down here at the bottom, like a pivot bolt to help it grab on also. So the part number for that, this is from Gates, and the part number is 38286, and this is all from O'Reilly's Auto Parts. Your Serpentine belt part number is KO60739, again from Gates. I like using quality parts. I say the mechanic is only as good as the parts you give them to work with. I could work on this with all the love in the world. You give me made in China cheap parts, and what good is it if I work on it with love? You know, but you give me quality parts, I can work on it with love, knowing that the parts are going to be able to do what the parts are able to do, what good parts can do, which is hold up for many, many miles. The Gates belts, as you can see, they're not shredded on the edges like that one is, and the inside isn't all cracked up. That's how your belt should look. If your belt doesn't look like this, it's time to replace it. It should look like this. So I recommend, if your car has more than 50,000 miles on it, replace the tensioner. How do you know? That's probably what most people are asking themselves. How do I know if my tensioner is bad? Well, number one, you saw how dingy and dirty that one looked. Number two, the idler pulley is squealing and making noise. But you don't have to wait for it to make that annoying noise. Every 50,000 miles, replace this guy. It's not cheap. It's like 80 bucks. But you're not buying it every oil change. You're buying it every 50,000 miles. That's, if you're doing 10,000 miles a year, that's every 5 years. Stop being cheap. You know, you could spend 80 bucks on that and 30 bucks on a belt, you know, every 5 years to keep a good belt system. Like I said, all your pulleys rely and depend on this. And the tensioner is what controls the tension from you accelerating every time you go to take off and mash on the gas when the light turns green to go. That tensioner is taking all that tension and compressing to help keep the tension off of the other pulleys. Excuse me. If this tensioner fails, all that tension from acceleration is being put on the other pulleys. It's being put on the water pump. It's being put on the AC compressor. It's being put on the power steering pump. You get where I'm going with this. So your alternator, etc. So now you're having to replace those other components because you're driving around on a weak tensioner that's not keeping tension off of those other pulleys. So that being said, that is the purpose of a tensioner. We're gonna get this little Corolla running great. It's got 160 miles, somewhere around there. I think 162. I don't remember, but it's in the 160 range. And we're gonna get it. Obviously, that's the original tensioner, never been replaced. That belt looks like it's been on there forever. The spark plugs were Denso, and that's what Toyota puts on it from the factory, so I'm pretty sure they were factory spark plugs. Let me show y'all what spark plugs we put in it in case y'all want to know what I recommend as far as spark plugs. I just threw them away. They're in this trash can. I'll dig it out for y'all. Y'all got me dumpster diving here. Okay. Laser Iridium spark plugs by NGK is hands down as good as it gets. Your part number on these is usually on the lid, easier to read. There you go. 49.96. IFR 5 T11 49.96. So these are iridium and platinum both. And they call them laser because they have a laser cut to them. So these spark plugs, you pay a little more, but these spark plugs are designed to go the long haul. According to NGK, you can go 100,000 miles on them. I recommend you change them every 50. Why? Because they don't break the bank to buy them. You're buying a 4-cylinder. It's not expensive to replace the spark plugs in this. And your fuel economy, your acceleration, your idle, all of that performs so much better when you have fresh spark plugs in it. So now we got fresh oil, we got new belt, new tensioner. We'll put the covers and everything underneath it back. We got a cabin air filter. We got a cabin air filter inside. We'll do the air filter on the next visit and the transmission fluid. And like I said, you don't have to do it all in one shot. You don't have to spend everything you have in one visit. But yeah, you know, if money could afford it, later down the road, we might replace these fuel injectors and get some fresh fuel injectors. We can't replace the fuel pump, but we can replace the fuel injectors. To replace the fuel pump, you got to drop the tank, I believe, on this car. It might have access from under the back seat. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've done one of these little Corollas, fuel pump wise. So there you go. You see that belt? You see that tensioner? And that tensioner looks pretty nasty, doesn't it? I'll try to point at it with my hand if I can get a hand in it. You see that bolt right there? And then where it grabs on the bottom, and then there's the bottom bolt. And you put a wrench on this right here, and that releases the tension from the belt. Get the belt off, and then unbolt that bolt and unbolt this bolt. And it sounds easy, right? 1, 2, 3, let's get her done. But it's a little harder than you think because of how tight it is in between here. So you can't really work a wrench in here too easily without moving, at least pushing some of these lines, this power steering pump, AC line, all this out of your way. And I may or may not release the motor mount, because by releasing the motor mount and putting a jack under the engine, I can either lift the engine up or down to get the bolts out. You see where that bolt is? I haven't done one of these in a while, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that that bolt is gonna hit the firewall right here when I try to back it out, therefore not letting me pull it all the way out. So therefore I have to jack up the engine to get it to clear here so that it'll slide out. And it just gives me a little more room. So yeah, I definitely have to release this motor mount. And as you can see down there, that belt is very shredded up. See how shredded it is? And it's all chopped up compared to the new one I showed you. This belt was literally about to leave her stranded going down the road. I mean, look how bad this thing is. So definitely needed a belt, definitely needed a tensioner. So yeah, anyways, I don't want to make the video longer than it needs to be. I hope the video was informative for you. If you have any other questions, you know what to do. Leave a comment, ask your question. I don't always have time to respond right away, but at some point, sooner or later, I'll do my best to get back and respond. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm gonna finish this Corolla so I can go to bed. It really doesn't take me that long. I'm pretty fast, but I don't have anybody to hold the phone. I don't have one of those fancy GoPro cameras. Eventually I'll get one. It's not at the top of my priority right now. putting a new fence up, fixing my truck. I have other priorities to go spend $500 on a GoPro. At some point, maybe somebody will buy me a GoPro camera for Christmas. Who knows? If not, I'll get around to it sooner or later. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. For now, we're just gonna hope someone was blessed by this. End it here and leave your questions below. Peace. Bye.